Mark Beard, you are the new Eastbourne Borough Football Club manager. Congratulations, you've been in the job a week now. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so privileged, really. I'm honoured to be manager of this great club. It's been a whirlwind, actually. I mean, in the space of 2 days, obviously Danny Bloor left. The next day I approached Mark White, first of all, because I was at Dorking, and I have to thank him as well, and everyone at Dorking Wanderers, for letting me have this opportunity. I then met with Alan Williams and then Simon Leslie, and in the space of, I think, 36 hours, I've gone from being looking forward to a season with Dorking to then becoming manager of Eastbourne Borough. And then since I've been in, I've obviously not had the time to speak to the fans or send any messages or anything because we've been so busy. The owner, obviously Simon's been away, so since they come back and now this is the first opportunity. But it's been a whirlwind. I've had to obviously speak to the current players here. We've got 9 under contract, so to speak to them, to tell them about the season, how we're going to approach it, how we're going to train, how we're going to play, and then obviously getting new players as well. So I've probably been going to bed at 2 o'clock every night because the phone hasn't stopped ringing, dealing with agents, dealing with players. But the thing we're trying to do is get the right characters and the right players and build a squad that the fans and the club can be proud of.
Well, this is a good opportunity, isn't it, to speak both to the fans and to your current squad and also to potential players coming. Tell us why they should be coming to join this club, either as a supporter or as a player.
Well, first off, the vision of Simon Leslie is one that I believe in. It's one that it's how I've built my whole career as well, not only just as a player, but since I've become a manager, whether that's in the academy or as an assistant manager, is the player care, the individualised training programs that we're going to provide for the players, team ethic, and we're really going to look after the players. We really want them to want to be here. It's not about finances, it's not about money, it's about wanting to come to play for this good football club and to come and enjoy it. But as well as developing the players, we want to develop them as people as well, and we want to create a team atmosphere here that the fans can be proud of. And as I say, the players we're talking to, the characters we're talking to, the fans will love them, and they will love the way we look to play. The players will love the way we train and the way we take care of them, and it's a win-win situation. And if they don't want to be it, if they don't listen, if they don't like the vision, then this ain't the right club for them, and they don't want to develop as a player. If they want to go get £50 extra somewhere else, go do it. But we want these special players that the fans can be proud of, as I say.
Well, tell us a little bit about that in terms of the style of football that you want to implement. What does it look like?
The way you like to play, if anyone's seen my Dorking teams over the years and Brighton teams, it's high tempo. First off, we'll look to play, but if we can't play, then we mix it. So it's a bit of everything, and it all comes down to the training. So I'll give you a little insight into how we work there. Is at the start of the week, it'll be each player will have an individual program. They'll have unit coaches where the coaches will look after a certain position. So, for example, if I'm looking after centre forwards, it'll be 1 coach to 4 players. They'll have their own IDP, which is individual development plan, and within that we'll look after the technical, tactical, the physical, the psych. We've got psych coming in. We've got a very good strength and conditioning coach who we'll meet later, and the programme will be we're trying to improve them as a player, and as you improve them as a player, that helps. If you've got 16 players that we're improving all the time, then along with the tactical stuff, they're just only going to get better and better. If you've got 16 players that are improving, then as a team throughout the season, we just get better and better from strength to strength. It's a programme, it's a structure I worked out at Dan Esselworth at Brighton, and we got 6 players from my youth team in that first team at the minute. And when I was told that team at the start of it, they said this is going to be your weakest team, I've wanted to prove them wrong, and I proved them wrong. And now 6 of them, like Cam Pepignon, was playing at Gold Coast in Australia 3 years ago, come on trial, he bought into what we was doing, and he's now in the Premier League. Adele Fire, in his first season when I had him, he was a winger, come from grassroots in London. I told him, you won't be a Premier League player if you're going to be a winger. So I switched him to centre half. He made his debut against Newcastle the other week for Brighton. Got a 3-year contract. I've got Evan Ferguson, who's playing in the first team. So I could go on about them. It's not about them, but just showing the structure works. And within that structure, the training, the player care, even like little things at breakfast. You go and speak to the players and you tell them about what they're going to be doing today. But I would say, like in a session, I design a session around you for this, and then go to the next one. So with me having half hour of having cups of tea with the players and talking around to them individually, they go into that session feeling 6'5" tall because they feel the session's about them. So it's really getting into the players' heads and making them realise that what we are doing, we're not just coming out here to do a possession session or a shooting session, we're coming out here to learn, to improve you as a player. And as I say, if you've got 16 players all buying into it, it really does work, and it will work, and it's exciting for Eastbourne.
Well, there's you have an existing roster of players. You'll be also looking to bring some in, but also you love developing youth. You've just said it. It's quite clear. It comes through every pore. How do you feel about the youth setup here, and what influence will you have on that? Will you keen? Your fans always love to see homegrown players come through, don't they? Is that something that you're keen to do?
Definitely, and I mean, first things first, I've got to sort out the first team squad, so that's what I'm here to do. Because if it's all well and good having a good youth system, but if the first team isn't doing well, then everything else falls apart. So we're going to get a strong first team. As soon as we're happy with that, and we're evolving with that, then we'll look at the general structure of everything else. So, but I think from top to bottom, I think if we're all doing the same thing and the club are all pulling in the same direction, and it's only for the benefit of the club. And I mean, there's some young kids who have, like, from around this sort of area as well, that have been released from clubs, so we're looking to bring them back in, like 17, 18-year-olds. So youth structure is massive, and I will not hesitate in playing a kid if they deserve it.
And how much are you being backed by the new owner, Simon Leslie, and all of these big plans of yours?
How much, sorry, what?
How much are you being backed by Simon Leslie in terms of the plans, in terms of the playing structure?
I wouldn't have come if it wasn't for Simon and Alan Williams. I mean, so I was in the National League. I had a really good job at Dorking. I had a manager who let me do what I want with the coaching. He backed me 100%, and I love the players. So just one meeting with Simon and Alan, that was enough for me to the vision of what he had. And I don't know, sometimes you just click. And that doesn't happen often in football, especially with owners. So, the vision was there of what he sold me. Didn't have to oversell it, because I probably did most of the talking. He did a lot of listening. It's just one of them where I know I'm backed here, and I know if I'm doing a good job, then we'll be successful together.
Well, you've had two quite impressive referees recommending you on your CV. They were Dan Ashworth, you mentioned that. He is probably, at Newcastle, of course, he's probably one of the most eminent sporting directors in the world. And also Graham Potter, who did so much good at Swansea and then latterly at Brighton, which is where you worked with him. Why do you think they've recommended you?
One thing you get with me is I'm honest, and I think a lot of people, when Dan come in, they're going for meetings with him, and they just probably said what they think he wanted to hear. I was just myself, told him what I do. And so many of the stuff I'd already put in place, he's been doing with England. So the individual training, looking after them small areas, the in possession and out possession. So again, for example, in games I'd have one coach just focus on in possession, one coach focus on out. Then they come to me. So there's not about 7, 8 coaches running about 100 mile an hour. And I've got a lot of this stuff from other sports, like from, you watch NFL, the Netflix series there. Like after a game on a Monday, they'll have a specialist coach, like the quarterback coach would go for 4 quarterbacks. So little things like that. So when I sat down with Dan, we were in tune, the same thing. He helped me so much as well. So when I was doing his individual programs, he'll come out and just watch. Wouldn't say nothing at the time. Afterwards, give you small little pointers. And yeah, we just got on well. And so when I asked him just for a reference, he done it within 2 minutes. He's sitting in his deck chair in Broads with his speedos on, but he did it straight away, and he wouldn't hesitate to do that. And same with Graham Potter. He come in. The one of the tough things, like when Graham come in, it's during COVID, so I didn't get close to work with him on the pitch. But the times I did, he was always brilliant for words of advice. So it's just unfortunate what happened at Chelsea. But yeah, they're 2 great guys.
And will you be potentially leaning on them for experience, maybe even some players?
Yeah, Dan Ashworth did actually send a message, if we can help you in any way, you can do. But I've also got other friends like Mickey Beale. And Mickey Beale at Glasgow Rangers, obviously, he's done brilliant. And he just started off like me as a coach. And found it hard, like myself, to be given that opportunity. Like, I've always been known as a good coach, developing players, and probably, I'm not being big-headed, but any coach, any player you speak to, always says, like, you're my favourite coach. So to get the opportunity is hard, because football is a merry-go-round of the same old managers. So again, like for Alan Williams and for Simon to show me that trust, I won't let them down.
You took Dorking into the National League for the first time in their history. You were head of coach in there, so you know what it takes. Given you know what it takes, how are you going to implement that here, either this season or in the coming seasons?
With Dorking, I mean, Mark White has built up a reputation of getting good characters in. So one of the first things I said to him when I left is just talking a bit of advice about getting players in, and he said it's all about the characters, and then showing them loyalty. Loyalty is key, and one of the things is it's about building a squad. We may make mistakes on a few players, but if we get everyone, as I say, getting the right players in and getting rowing in the right direction, then we'll be fine. The style of play is, we have to also be mindful of the fact that you can't go to, you could have, like, we've got a lovely passing pitch here, but also got to set up a team to go play away Chippenham on Tuesday night to play a different style of play. So you have to be mindful of that. The analysis of games and the way we look at teams we won't leave no stone unturned. So everything we do will be meticulous in our planning. It could be, you could have a game on a Saturday where you play one team, and then on Tuesday it might have to be another team. So everything we do is going to be planned to the point.
Well, finally, what would be your message, both to the fans of this club who come week in, week out, or even just come every now and again, and also to the rest of Eastbourne and the town who might well turn up if you do well?
Yeah, listen, it's an exciting project. I'd like to say to all the town, thanks for having me as your manager. We'd love to see you down here. And even in the first week, just fans coming to speaking to in the car park and in and around the club. They love the club. And for us, it's an exciting project that we want them to be part of and be successful together, because football is such a great game. It could bring all different types of people. Like, we're looking to get players from all different parts of the country. Like at London, we've got Birmingham players we're speaking to. So come down, be part of it, and help us as our journey and our quest to get promoted out of this division and into the National League.
Well, good luck with it, Mark. It's lovely to have you here at Eastbourne Borough, and wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much, top man.